So you
Yes.
see, the game is very interesting, but unfortunately, I had some very difficult moments because of myself, because I made a mistake, you know. Yeah. Knight f3, g6, c3. This is a little bit curious to play the opening like this when you are grandmaster and the world champion. This is a very, you know, seemingly a very quiet way to play, but it's not as clear as this, you know. So I played bishop g7, bishop g5, and now castle, and now e3. And in this position, black has to play b6 or d6, and we come to a very normal king's Indian where black is all right. There is no problem at all. Here we have two plans. After d6, for instance, after d6, knight bd7, try to play e5 or c5 later on. This is the first plan. The second plan is to play d6, b6, c5, and afterwards bishop a6, complete equality, you know. But you have to play the good order. I mean, in good order, black has no problem at all. You know? Yeah. So here, what happened? Instead of this, I played you know, the move, the immediate c5, which is already a mistake.
So you make like
I
a
played
gambit
c5.
here, or
No, I thought that it's the same thing.
mm, mm.
I forgot a move for
The move
white,
order.
which is very good. The move order was not in order. It was
Mm.
not good for black, you know,
Mm-hmm.
c5. And therefore, the move c5 was unnecessary mistake. Afterwards, you have to fight to try to equalize again, you know, the
Mm.
game. But it wasn't necessary to play immediate c5. As I told you before, you have two plans, very good plans, you know,
Yes.
b6 or d6, no problem at all. But
E6 or D6.
b6 or d6, yeah.
B6.
And later on, if you play d6, b6, you play c5, and later on you play bishop a6. I played in some other very important games. I had no problems at all. I lost a lot of games and a lot of draws against very strong grandmasters. The plan is very good for black. And if you play more quietly, like in King's Indian, you play usually d6, bishop, knight bd7, e5, and so on. You know, very complicated game, but it's no problem for black. You know.
But what is
So now the problem is that you lose a pawn now after
yeah.
bishop after c5.
But for white, what is the name of this opening? Like that
Well,
is
it's the so-called Kohler position, the so-called Kohler variation, but with the difference that white has already the bishop on g5 or in f4. The Kohler variation, the true Kohler variation, with the bishop in c1, which is close. The bishop from c1 is, you know,
usually it's closed.
much weaker than in this position. Is the, you know, the order for white is okay. I had almost the same idea for white in my games. In my game that I saw before with you in the Olympic Games from Varna in '62 against Keres. Keres played bishop f4, and he had nothing. The position was even, and finally we had the draw. You know. Bishop g5 is a little bit better, I mean a little bit more active, but if black plays in good order, black equalizes without any problem, you know. So therefore c5 now is risky and very dangerous for black, you see.
Because
Yeah.
it is
Because you
for
lose
free.
for a moment, you lose a pawn, you know. So he takes in f6, very good, you know, of course. He takes now he takes in c5, and now when you attack the with the queen in c7, of course, he doesn't play b4 or you know, something, but he has to defend the pawn from c5, and he defends the pawn with the simple move queen d5.
Oh,
Queen
yeah.
d5. Well, that was the surprise. Now, what can you do? You know, has pawn up. I mean, if you allow him to play 2, 3 more moves, he plays finally knight d2 or knight d4. You don't take back the pawn. Afterwards, bishop e2, castle and rook d1, and you are lost, you know, because pawn down for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
from
let's
this
see.
moment, you have to, you know, to try to choose some very tactical moves to have a counterplay, to have a good counterplay. So I played a5 with the idea to come immediately, if possible, a4 and rook a5. This is the first idea. You see?
To attack
Yeah.
with the rook.
To attack the rook, you know, the pawns from c5. Even if white can defend, of course. I mean, he'll defend the pawns on c5, and he comes with the other piece in d4, you know, centralizing the pieces and so on. But the game is very tactical, very sharp, and at least you have a good counterplay. You can play for something, you know. A5, knight d2, of course, a4, and knight d4. Okay, knight d4. It was a little bit better probably to play immediately knight e4 instead of knight d4. But nobody could think that white has not enough here. I mean, he doesn't give back the pawn and comes with tempo with the other knight in b3, you'll see. Okay, rook a5, the only move, and now b4. Now you have to take in b3, yeah, and knight takes b3. And now what can you do? If you move the rook, white has a pawn up, you know, plays, as I told you before, bishop e2, castle, and you don't, you know, you don't take back the pawn, and you have big trouble, you know, here. Yeah. So b6, that was the first surprise. Big surprise, you know. So of course he cannot take in b6 because queen takes c3 and white is probably lost already. Yeah.
So he cannot take when?
In b6 immediately. He has to
because you took the queen with the rook, right?
Yes. No, he has to take back. No, I took.
Sorry.
No, if he takes in b3, in b6, that is big mistake because of queen takes c3 check.
Ah, you have the check here.
Yes, and now he took the rook, of course. No.
So he wins an exchange here.
He wins an exchange. Now the second surprise. I don't take back in a5 because I want to take the pawn from c5. Now I took the pawn. I took in c5. He is in this position. He is rook up.
Yes.
Petrosian, yeah?
Yes.
But he loses one knight and black has the initiative, and this is the most important thing, you know. Knight b5. I mean, he moves the knight from d4 because he protects in c3 and has time to move again, and he has still exchange up, you know, here.
Yeah, and
let's see. Now I take. Now, okay, white has exchange, but black has the initiative. I mean, strong enough to have a good game. I was very happy with this position already. Yeah. After this surprise from the opening, when probably I was in some trouble, let's say. Here the position is okay. Black has the initiative, and the position is, in my opinion, a little bit more dangerous for white already.
Yeah, because the king is
the king is in the center. He didn't like at all, you know, the idea to have the king in his one. And here he is in a defensive position. He has to play very good moves not to lose this kind of game. No? So he played back rook c1. No, he gives the pawn from a2 later on if possible, but he has to defend against the black initiative. If black has time to take in c3 with check, is too dangerous. He's lost probably. No. Okay, now d6. Okay, now d6. Now we don't give the pawn from c5, and we attack immediately the queen from d5 with the idea bishop c8 to e6. Very good, no?
Yeah, you have this.
So now has to, to retreat the queen from d5 to d2, threatening. He wants to play c4 and maybe to trade queens, This is the idea.
Yeah, and take advantage of the...
the exchange, the exchange. But he has the exchange, but until the end game, it's a long way to go, Yeah. Knight c6, okay, we come with all our pieces. Now c4, and now what to do? Now you have to change queens, or, move your queen and play later on, trying to show that you have enough for the exchange, Yeah. I mean, the idea was to play maybe queen a4, bishop a6, rook a8, and so on, But it's a little bit too long. So if you accept to trade queens, you have a small initiative, but the initiative is there, It's very unpleasant for white to play, as we can see the game.
Without the queens?
Even without queens, yes.
So you accept
and I accepted to trade queens because the game is sure. In my opinion, you can never lose such a position for black. And you have some still small chances to try to do something, In my opinion, here, my drawish chances were very real. So the idea to make the norm for Grandmaster was already, almost done. So Okay, we'll see what happens in the
So
next
even so,
moves.
you are in exchange down. You
Yes, I'm better here. Even
yes.
so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's very clear. Bishop d7. Now you threaten to play immediately the rook to a8. You see why? Because the white structure, the white pawn structures is weak. Has a weak pawn on c4, the weak pawn on a2, and still the rook from h1 didn't move. And black has the clear initiative. Now he has the exchange down, but it's better, Yeah. So bishop e2, rook a8. Okay. Now a3. If you allow me to take immediately in I2, is even worse. Of course, A3 is a good move. Yeah. So now again, rook A5 is strong enough. Yeah. He has to decide what to do. He has to move the rook from C1 to B1 to try to come with the other rook to C1 to, try to defend everything and finally move away the king, maybe later on. So he played rook B1. Yeah. Rook A4. Now we attack twice the pawn from C4 with the knight in A5. We have time to do this. Rook C1. Yeah. Knight A5. Now what to do? He played bishop D1 and proposed draw. He didn't like the position at all. And he proposed draw here, and I was very content, of course, because the norm was already, there.
Yes.
But I like the position, and I should like to play, but it was a little bit risky because, of course, he was still world champion, and the risk was unnecessary. You have the norm. Later on, in some other games in the future, you can play, of course. But as to, just an example, white is clearly in the defensive position here, and he has to make draw. But how? Now the position is forced. I mean, rook takes c4. We analyzed afterwards. Black is clearly, but rook takes c4. C4. You have to take in c4.
Yes.
With the rook, you take in c4.
Okay. Let's
With
see.
the rook.
So you take.
Yeah. He
You
has
take.
to take. Yeah. Knight takes and
Check.
king d3. Yeah, king d3. Now you attack the knight. Of course, here, if you want to prove that you are better, you take in b5, he takes in b5, and you take in h3. Okay, now, if you look at the position, we have 2 pawns for exchange, and it's clear that black is better, no? Only black can win this. Maybe he doesn't win, but black is clearly better, no? Yeah, with 2 pawns for exchange.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, the members of my team were very content. Everybody was coming there to see, okay, make draw, because it's very important. The first grandmaster title for our country and so on. Okay, I accepted draw, but after 50 minutes.
So
I was thinking 50 minutes if to make draw or not.
so you
50 minutes,
50
not
minutes
immediately. No, but the game was very beautiful. Why
Yes.
not?
True.
I wanted to play, but I decided finally, okay,
Yes.
we play the safe way, we make the norm, and later on we'll see what happens. Yes. So I accepted draw. But the game was very beautiful, very interesting, but it was possible, everything was
mistake.
possible from a mistake. I made
Yes.
this, clearly a mistake, but big mistake to
Yeah.
give a pawn against Petrosian is like, suicide.
Suicide, yes.
Yeah. But okay, I was lucky enough to have this possibility to make draw finally, and the game was published all over the world as an example how to play against the big Petrosian, to try to beat him from an inferior position.
Yes, and without
Yeah,
an exchange.
without exchange. Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah. Well, the game was interesting, very interesting.
Thank you, Mr. Gheorghiu.
You are welcome.